Good morning, everyone. Another day and another press release from Southern Cross. This time, something completely different. It's a strategic move. We're announcing our intention to dual list the company in Canada. So where our intention is to be both a dual listed ASX and Canadian Stock Exchange listed company. Why are we doing this is the key question. Well, there's a number of reasons. We have approximately today about 70% of our register is based out of Australia. That's heavily influenced, of course, by the 51% that is owned by Mawson Gold, a Toronto Stock Exchange listed company. Mawson intends to in-specie distribute its shares that it holds in Southern Cross to its individual shareholders after the ASX escrow that those shares are under ends on May 16. Mawson needs to go through some regulatory processes to allow that to happen. So that process should take place in the middle of the year. So number one, it will create a much easier process for 51% of what will eventually be Southern Cross's shareholders to be able to trade their stock. But most importantly, this is all about creating more buying and more interest for our project. Without a doubt, the Canadian market has benefited greatly over the last 7 or 8 years on the back of the success of essentially Fosterville, which was the highest grade gold mine on Earth for 4 of the last 6 years. That created billions and billions and billions, almost $10 billion of capital growth through that process. So the North American market knows and understands the Victorian goldfields and the opportunities that can come out of that region very well. We have some of the biggest names in the North American market as shareholders in our stock, and so they will absolutely gain more traction perhaps in the North American market than the Australian market in isolation. And notwithstanding management, including myself, have had nearly 1/4 century of experience across in Canada. So simply put, we believe this will lead to more buying and appetite for Southern Cross when it's a dual Australian and Canadian listed entity. We've got to work very hard to make both listings work. You can't have one listing dominating over another. So we'll be working and promoting in both jurisdictions very hard. But this is a strategic move for all of those above reasons. During this process, Australian shareholders will be required to do absolutely nothing. We'd like you to hold your shares and continue to hold them in this growth story as we go forward. It will not result in any new shares being issued. It will, the distribution of Mawson, it will result in the shares at the choice of those shareholders being held in Canada or Australia. We'll be trading on the 2 different time zones, but most importantly, we'll be exposed to a much greater pool of investors, both here in Australia and overseas in North America and also to Europe. This press release states our intention to dual list. We've still got a lot of work to go forward and determine, number one, which is the best exchange in Canada. There's a number of exchanges that you can trade in on across there in that North American market. So we're still going through that process. We have a little bit of time because the distribution of Mawson shares will come in and around middle of the year, and we'd like to coincide the dual listing with that distribution. So that will take place around the middle of the year. Let's bring it back to what's going to happen between now and then. We're going to be continuing to drill. We've got 4 drill rigs at site. We've got 10 holes in the lab. We just put out the best hole on the project a week or so ago. This project is really on a roll. The top 5 intersections have come in the last 3 or 4 months. We're drilling better and better results all the time as we understand the grade distribution as we go deeper into this project. So stay tuned. There's still a lot more to come.